Hello and welcome to the G3 Pulse podcast. Joining me today is Dan Phillips, CEO of Playnetic. Dan, thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks, William. Thanks for having me.
Prior to us starting the recording, I was just mentioning the fact that we had spoken before, but we haven't spoken since you became CEO of Playnetic. So tell me more, tell our audience more, because it's a new company. How was the company established? Who's involved? When was the idea conceived, and what gap have you identified in the market?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a whirlwind, really. Certainly for me, I joined about 4 months ago now, so sort of early October time. Was discussing roles. I've sort of come out of a successful consulting business for the last few years, and those that know me from other companies before that. So really looking for something new and interesting. Playnetic came along, and maybe a little bit like, I'm sure some of the viewers and listeners here that they're not aware of, what it is and what it's about. But effectively, it's from private equity backing, guys who've been in the tech sector for a long time, and building out the technology for over a year now, and building up a team. So we're already more than 200 people. We've got people dotted around Europe. Lots of great technology. And ultimately, it was really to say, how can we differentiate? Which was the question that I had, coming in. So we've got a huge sort of back catalogue of mainly slot content, but other content as well. And we're going to be launching ICE and premiering, I guess, primarily ourselves. This is who we are, and this is what we're about, but also our premium titles. But the idea being is that we've come from, when the people that I brought into the business, we've come from the B2B sector, some of us from the B2C sector, some from both, like myself. And we've seen how other companies operate. And what we want to be is the same partner, whether you're a small startup, medium-sized enterprise, or even if you're a big tier one. So we want to offer the same service throughout, which I think is a crucial differentiator, because that's not always the case. But we will be delivering weekly, monthly drops of content. But crucially, we're going to be working with our partners, and we have on board some really clever data analysts, market analysts. So we're going to be building games that are market driven, that are operator driven, and actually we're going to work with our partners to be able to maximize those. But ultimately, if I wanted to wrap it up in sort of one word, it would be service, or as I like to say, service. So it's really about being the partner that operators want. What we've seen are a lot of trends towards insourcing, and there are pros and cons for that. And I think part of that is because people have become put off by vaporware being put out there. So we're going to be out there putting our name and putting our content out there, out in front of the industry, and people will see it and like it. Tying that in with, I would say, multiple integration routes, keeping it as simple as possible. So really offering a full package as well as great content.
Plenty of things to go out there. On your LinkedIn profile, it says that you joined as CEO in October, but you mentioned there going back 12 months. Is that so? The company was established 12 months ago, and you joined in October, or you just joined a bit?
The company's been around, maybe for a little bit longer than that. I think the equity behind it was sort of putting together technology teams, some from the industry, some from outside the industry, to look at maybe some of their other businesses as well. But I think they quickly realised that the technology here could easily be used in the B2B sector. So it was kind of building out the teams. So a lot of the technology comes out of Eastern Europe, but we brought in some great content guys as well. In fact, we're going to be launching with effectively three game studios, which will be competing internally, so we can make sure we have the best content out there. But I'd say most importantly, so we can get constant flow of content out there. So, there's always something dropping, rather than we're waiting on one studio to finish what they're, doing. So this is really, I would say, the culmination of a lot of work to kind of bring it together. And like I say, it's grown rapidly, even in the few months that I've been with the company.
Could this be the first game studio to launch or to debut at ICE with 200 people? I mean, that's quite incredible. It's not like, let's say, a games global purchasing, microgaming, and take the purchasing an absolutely massive business. This is something that started from scratch.
Yeah, like I say, I mean, some of the technology was there from some of the previous industries that the backing had been involved with. So there was a framework there, but actually molding it and building it into a gambling business certainly has been over that year, or maybe just over a year period. So yeah, to answer your question, I can't think of any off the top of my head. And hopefully, when people see our offering at ICE, that they'll realise that we're not fly by night. We're here to stay. And actually, our board, when we look at it, have said to me, look, we want to launch this and sort of get it right. So we're launching it, and we're basically saying, come and say hello, come and see what we're up to. We're not, finished in terms of the product set, but like I say, we have a lot of product that we could launch straight away. We're going through the licensing processes in all of the main regulated markets, and actually, we're going to be driven by the deals and the conversations that we're already having on that front. But yeah, it is a big operation, and hopefully that'll be evident when people see us and when they meet the team as well. And the team is going to be made up of senior, serious people that people will either know or know of for sure.
Can you name some of those people who are part of the senior leadership team?
Or some of them, are in the process of joining. Some of those kind of more senior guys. Some of them you can call me at ICE, but we've taken on people from the likes of Scientific Games. We've got people that have come out of Playtech. We've got lots of industry names that people will know, and a few that we're going to be announcing probably at ICE as well. But it's certainly a team that I'm confident can deliver on all fronts for sure.
And you yourself have significant experience. You've worked at countless companies in the gaming industry. You've got decades of experience. Just your most recent, and it's still current, I guess, is your Nell Advisory. Could you just tell me a bit more about that and about how you're taking all of that expertise from your former places of work into this role?
I mean, you made me sound very old there, but
sorry.
I think I'm in my 27th year, I think, something like that, in the industry. And I started off in retail casinos back in the day, and then moved to online early 2001. Worked my way up through Eurobet and Coral and Gala and Ladbrokes and everything, which is now the Entain Group. Then did 6-7 years at Playtech, where I cut my B2B teeth, if you like. But the last 5 years, as you just alluded to, or prior to joining Playnetic, I was doing a lot of advisory work, and actually what that helped me do was look at operations globally. I've worked with some major operators on small, medium, and even large projects. I've run any number of RFPs. But what it's given me is a good visibility on who's out there doing good stuff and who's out there doing less good stuff. Where those pain points are, and that kind of came back to the Playnetic opportunity. Really was to say, how can we address those pain points? And normally it comes back to delivery on time, being commercially savvy, realistic as well, making our legal processes as straightforward as possible, making our integration processes as straightforward as possible. And we're going to have good content, and everyone else has good content as well, so I'm not going to talk about others from that perspective. But again, bringing all of those experiences in, I think really helps us focus on what we're doing. And I think crucially as well, when I looked at the company, because it's young, we don't have technical debt per se. We are very agile, so we can change things, at short notice if we need to, depending on regulatory changes, depending on market consumer demands. And that was also very, very interesting to me, having been at bigger companies where they are typically a little bit slower to move, if you like. And again, these are all the things that we're looking to bring in with the company for sure.
Last reflective type question from me. What would you say the challenges have been in bringing together the creative talent that you mentioned there, setting up the free studios, building tech infrastructure, and you mentioned the private investment at the beginning and sourcing the necessary finances?
Yeah, look, it's all challenging, but it's also exciting. So we've got a great internal recruitment team who have done a phenomenal job bringing the talent in. I think we offer some amazing benefits packages. And our recruitment team are going to be at ICE. So we've got any number of roles open right now. So please stop by and sort of have a chat. But typically speaking, once we speak to people, we recruit quickly. So that's obviously been part of that challenge. Some of our hubs, dotted around Eastern Europe as well. People tend to move in packs with those, so we've managed to bring in groups of people for that. So that's been I guess challenging but exciting. But I guess looking forward, it's the challenges that everyone has. Making sure that we are certified and licensed and regulated, and building out that compliance team as well was sort of certainly one of my priorities coming in, and that's making good grounds as well. And we'll be launching as and when we get licenses. Sometimes it's a little bit of a piece of string type of thing in terms of working with regulators, but we're completely transparent. So those typical types of challenges, and we don't underestimate the volume of content out there either. So we have to stand by what we say, and actually deliver on the things that I've been talking about. So I guess those are my challenges, if you like. But hopefully the team comes together to be able to deliver that.
And on the content side, what would you say Playnetic's game development philosophy is? You mentioned previously that there's 3 game studios. You said competing internally. What exactly does that mean, and what does that mean for the end product? Does that mean that you're kind of looking from the top and saying, right, look, your game's performing better than theirs, you need to up your game, or is it not? Is it kind of different game philosophies per studio?
Yeah, look, it's a little bit of that. I mean, it was a little bit tongue in cheek when I say competing, but but we want the guys to push each other on. We brought in some guys who've come from B2C operators and large B2C operators who are on the analytical side. So we're feeding in real world information. We're looking at new technologies. One of the lead studio guys focusing on how AI can help, and doing it in a sensible and responsible way. And that may be to speed up production. It may be to make production cheaper, not necessarily to build the games for us, or to come up with the themes, but to look at processes, how we can better use sounds and animation. But yes, in terms of the studios, one of them will be focusing more, what I would say on, quicker turnaround games, lighter type games, maybe seasonal type games, so we can have a good flow of that type of content. Whereas the other two will be focusing on, more premium style things. And once we start, signing deals, and we're already talking to many operators, then it may be that we direct those studios to one or the other. But the fact is that we wanted to have more than one studio, so that we have, as I said, that constant flow of content. And also, as one is launching, we're seeing the feedback, we're seeing the data coming in. So we have the, as I said before, the flexibility to be able to actually change the roadmap based on the real world data that we're seeing, and that feeds into both of the studios to make sure that they optimize. So hopefully we get a good balance across all those worlds.
So in what ways would you say that Playnetic's portfolio is going to move towards what players want to play and how they want to play it? There is space in the industry for kind of multifaceted slots with complex play, but would you say that quick, easy and engaging is the goal for Playnetic?
No, not necessarily. As I said earlier, we will certainly be having some of our output will be quick and easy play, but we certainly want to have more complex games, and this is where we're working, and we'll work with operators, and where we brought people in from the operator world to be able to really kind of guide us here, so that we have some real world insight and data into what's coming. We're going to have multiple themes, and some of them will be familiar type themes that that the industry know about, but we'll be looking at the trends of what's out there. And I think right now, water-based animal fishing type games are sort of very popular, and we'll certainly have our share of those. But it's not about us saying that our games are going to be better than anyone else's, because that's a very bold claim, and everyone has great games. So ours are going to be as good as anybody's, I would say. But actually, it's really about consistent quality, rather than maybe that kind of volume of, we'll push out 100, 1,000 games, and maybe fingers crossed 2 or 3 will be hits. Now, that works in some cases, but it's very hard to predict, and it's very expensive to do that. So we would rather have consistent quality, driven by the data, driven by the feedback that we're getting, driven by what we're looking at from other technologies. From maybe we can follow up after ice on this and come see our sort of game gurus here, rather than hearing it from an old veteran like me. But these are the features that we want to be, and I guess the overall summary there really is consistent quality, but actually we are delivering. If we say we're going to deliver, say, 10 games a month, we will deliver 10 games a month. They'll be dropped on the day we say, so operators can plan their promotions, they can plan whatever they're doing, around that. And as we build up and as we build up trust, then we'll be dropping in more and more different types of content, and maybe moving into different spheres as well. But hopefully what we're doing now is putting in place the base to be able to go off into whatever direction that we need to remain competitive, and even ultimately, to hopefully lead, rather than playing catch up to some of the bigger guys.
It is refreshing to hear a senior member of a slot developer say that they're not looking. Well, you are, of course, you are. It would be great to make the next Buffalo game, but to say, look, we just want to produce consistent, high-quality content at times when it's expected from the operators, and that is something quite rare to hear in this industry. What products would you say Playnetic is going to be exhibiting or showcasing at its ICE debut?
So we've got, I would say, our sort of newest title is going to be Max Catch, which is a fishing type game. But like I say, what we have is, I think we've got now almost 100 games, that have been built and produced, which have brought us through from start. So we've seen that evolution, and just in the few months that I've been with the company, that focus. So we're going to be, again, not spamming people at the show with all of those games, but we're going to be cherry picking top 8, 10, 12 maybe of those titles. And like I say, it's as much about us launching the brand as it is about any specific game. And hopefully what you'll see is the consistency that I will be front and center on that stand, for 3 days. And I want people to see the people behind it. Part of that process is the fact that who you are working with. There are some much bigger companies out there with many thousands of employees, but we want people to know who we are. So you'll be able to meet the games leads, you'll be able to meet the analysts, you'll be able to speak with me, face to face, and that's what we're selling. So we're selling as much the experience, if you like. Obviously, we then have to deliver on that experience, and that's the hard work going on behind the scenes. But I think ultimately it's transparency, and which will lead into our service levels.
You mentioned at the top that the ethos of the company is about service. So what kind of partnership dynamic are you striving for with operator clients and other clients, potentially aggregators, for instance?
Yeah, look, we're not naive enough to think that we can just go in and say this is how we work, take it or leave it, which wouldn't be very flexible at all. So, we will look at the opportunities. We'll look at the partners, and as I said at the start, we want to service the small, medium-sized guys who perhaps don't get the love maybe with some of the big operators. So we want to be able to work with them as much as we do with the big operators as well, of course. So if that means that we have to do, aggregator route integrations, then fine. But actually, we want to build out our APIs to be, very, very flexible, very common. So, hopefully that when people see our APIs and when our tech teams talk with their tech teams, of course, that they can see actually the work to integrate our content is going to be pretty straightforward. And then obviously, the content needs to, sell itself, and then ultimately it's the end consumers who will judge success. But giving that flexibility to the operators, say, okay, yes, we can go via the aggregator, but we can also go direct, and or go direct to your platform partner, whatever it may be. So, that will flow into the commercial deals as well. Because we are, although we've got, a sizable number of people, we are a fully remote company. We are very agile in our ways of working. So maybe some of our overheads are less than others, which means that we can be a little bit more aggressive on commercials if we need to be, to become the partner of choice or become one of the partners of choice.
In recent years, we've seen studios be developed specifically for certain markets. I'm taking it that Playnetic is not the case, but what markets would you say are a priority in the short term?
Yeah, you're right. It's a bit chicken and egg. That we are going through licensing processes, across regulated Europe, and we're looking at other global markets as well. Certainly, in North America and others, and LATAM as well will follow. So, we will be everywhere that we need to be, which is a bit of a vague answer, if you like. But it's really going to be driven by demand, and hopefully people will see the content. They will hear good things about us from once we go live with others, which will then help get us up the roadmap of some of the operators, and then it's really driven by that. So I would like to be thinking that I will be ramping up my integration teams, ramping up the regulatory teams to be able to meet demand.
So come ICE 2025 in Barcelona, where do you see Playnetic as a business? What's your vision for the next 12 months?
Yeah, so firstly, people know who we are. They don't go who. They don't think we are someone else called Play, that we stand out by ourselves. That we would have announced multiple commercial deals from minor to major ones. We certainly would have been at any number of shows in the intervening period, and that we will be one of those meetings that you have to have at ICE 2025 if you haven't already done that at ICE 2024. But from our sort of board downwards, I would say we're in a rush as much as anyone is in a rush, but we're not in a rush to do it the wrong way. So if it takes a year, 2 years to fully establish, if we get feedback that suggests we need to work on our games, then we'll work on our games. And I think we have that backing. If the first game doesn't succeed, well, I'm sure it will. But if it doesn't, then we go back to it, and then we make the next game better.
Oh, Dan, thank you very much for coming on. I am genuinely excited to see where the business is going to be going forwards, and I'm sure that I'll see you in many different events over the coming year.
Great, thanks, William, and look forward to seeing you at ICE as well.
I hope you enjoyed the podcast. If you want to watch more, why not subscribe to our channel somewhere here.